Hi, my name is Ilcho at ProDesign, and today we're going to talk about how to create simple shapes by drawing them in one-point perspective in Photoshop. We're going to explain some simple stuff about how the one-point perspective works and how basically the drawing in perspective works, and how all this simple stuff that we're going to say, you have already seen them if you're using or working with a 3D software. How, for example, everything everything that you're going to see in here, it's basically related, or it's created on base of all this kind of stuff when you draw something in perspective. So basically at the beginning we're gonna just explain some simple stuff so you can have a better understanding for those who don't know anything about drawing in perspective. And there are a couple of types of drawing in perspective. There is 1-point, 2-point, 3-point perspective, and they're all basically related to the number of vanishing points that you have on the scene. For example, now we have just one vanishing point, and that's why we're gonna draw it in 1-point perspective, and in the later future courses we're gonna cover up about 2-point and 3-point perspective. So basically what you have to do is first understand how you're viewing an object when you have different sets of horizon lines. For example, let's say that this part in here is not visible, and you have the horizon line in here, and the horizon line separates the sky from the earth. So this horizon line is way up on your drawing, and this means that you are going to view the object from above, like in here. Let's say you're the user and your object is something like in here, and you're viewing it from the top, something like in here. Okay, and now imagine, for example, let's delete this. So now imagine like the other scenario. Let's just vanish or erase this part in here and have this. If you have a horizon line that is on the bottom of your drawing, so you can see like in here on this object, they have the same width and height, but you can see they're viewed in a different way. As we said, this object is viewed from above. If you have a horizon line that goes up on your drawing, if your horizon line is on the bottom, you're gonna have something like this. And this technically represents when a viewer, let's say this is the ground, and something like this, when you're watching the object from above, I'm sorry about that, from below, or even let's say you're just lying on the ground and you have something like this. This is how you view the object in this case, in this scenario in here. And the other stuff is, so basic stuff, when your horizon line is on the bottom part of, let's say, the drawing, you're gonna have the impression that you look the objects from the ground. And when your horizon line is on the upper part of the drawing, like in here, you're gonna have the impression that you look the objects from above. And the other thing that we have now is the vanishing point. How stuff works in perspective is, let's say this lines that you see in here, they all connect in the vanishing point. But you have to understand that those lines are parallel between each other. So technically when we have something like an object, let's say in here, and this is the one line in here, and this is the other line in here, they are parallel, like in here. Even though they look like a triangle, or in this case like they meet in one point, they're still parallel, and this makes a great ease to us when we draw in perspective. The same goes like if we have another vanishing point. Those lines are going to be parallel too. And by that, we can draw easily objects in perspective than we imagined. And now, after we start drawing, you can see how all this stuff works and how all 3D software is basically based on this kind of concept and drawings and stuff like that. Okay, so let's get started. This is the explanation. We can just turn those two layers off. So we're gonna just draw the horizon line above. So we got the impression that we are watching the object from above, and we're gonna center like the vanishing point somewhere into the middle. Okay. Now we're gonna draw two shapes. I'm sorry, two lines. And we're gonna draw another line in here. This represents the one edge of the box, and at the beginning it's gonna be a little bit confusing for you why we're drawing boxes, but you can understand later on why we do that. Okay, so since these are on one plane, these two dots are on one plane, that means that the line that goes from here to here is parallel to this one. So we're gonna draw it straight. The same goes for the dot in here. Okay, and somewhere in here we're gonna draw the back side of the box. Oops, I'm sorry. And I didn't mention, if you want to draw straight lines, just hold on the shift key and drag. Hold on shift and drag. If you want to connect one point to another, again, hold down shift, click, just click, and then hold down shift and then click again, and you will have another line. Like in here, click, then hold shift and hold it and press again, and then just release the shift button. Okay, so basic stuff about like in here is you need to know how to find the middle, let's say, on this box. And the easiest way is to connect the point in here with the other point in here. And when you connect this one with this, you have a dot, and then just click and hold down shift and drag. And this represents the middle. You don't get confused that this is a bigger part and this is the smaller. This is how the way works in perspective. More in front of this, more close to you it is, the object, more bigger it's gonna look, and more away from you it's gonna look smaller. Like let's say, let's draw in here one box. See how it becomes smaller? But in fact, if we draw something like this, it's gonna be the same size as this box, but this one is gonna be like, we're in here, this is from a top view, and let's say this is the box that we see first, and this is the box that we see later. So why did we draw this? Okay, so first thing, when you draw shapes in perspective, this is how I draw them. I make a box, something like this, and then find the middle of the box. This is going to represent the middle of the box. It's something, imagine like when you, let's say you get a knife, it's something like a foam, this box, and then you cut it in the middle. And this here, these lines represent the slice on the middle of the box. So why do we do this? Like, well, this is where we're gonna draw the shape when it's viewed from the front view, and this is what you have, same thing in 3D software. So This line in here represents the box that touches the ground. And if we want the box to touch the ground, then we have to create a representation of the object that we are going to draw in the front view, and later on we're going to do it from the other side. So this is what we have. We're going to make an object that touches the ground. So the one point is going to be in here, and the other one is going to be in here, and the other one is going to represent in here. So we have something like this kind of shape. This is when we watch the object from the front. So when we connect, as we said, just click and hold down Shift and then click again. We have a representation of a simple shape in a front view. And now what we have to do is have a representation of the same shape, but when we view it from the top. And when we view it from the top, we're gonna have something like this. Okay? So how do we do it? Let's say we want to find this point is going to be somewhere in here, and this point is going to be somewhere in here. So the question is, how can we find it? Well, let's say that this point is exactly on the middle on this part of the box, and this point is exactly in the middle on this part of the box. So how can we find it? Where exactly is it? Well, as we said, we can find it very easily, and the thing that we have to do, you can zoom in a little bit if you want, is connect. Because this is a box, all we have to do is connect these points in here, and when we find this line, all we have to do is hold down and Shift and drag down, and do the same again. Technically, slicing the sliced part again into another part. So we have found that this dot is going to be somewhere in here, and these dot we're going to find what plane is going to lie. Okay, once again, we found the middle on this box, and now we are technically slicing it in the middle again. Okay, so we now know that this dot is going to be somewhere in here, and this dot is going to be somewhere in here, but now we don't know how. We don't know where exactly. Is it going to be here or here? Well, the easiest way to know is, as we said, these lines are parallel, and these two lines represents like these one in here, or doesn't matter. Let's say one. Okay, this line is this one in here, and this one and this one, and as we said, these are parallel. So what happens if, sorry about that, so what happens if we draw one straight line from here to here, and these 2 points lie they're laying on this line, and this line is parallel to this one and this one. So how can we find it? Well, it's easy. We have one line in here, sorry about this inaccurate representation in here. We have this point that lies in here, and this point is this one. So when we hold down Shift and drag and meet the ground, this point is gonna be on this line, and this point lies in this line in here and in this one. So if it lies in this one, all we have to do now is connect the vanishing point with edit, and now we have found where those two dots lie. This one is gonna lie where this line crosses with this one. So this means that this is gonna be in here. And the other one represents the line that slices the box in here, this one, with this one. So all we have to do now, since these two dots are connected, points are connected, and these two, and something like that, all we have to do now is connect them. This one with this one with this, and this one is with this. Okay, so what did we get? We had a shape that was something like in here. This is when we watch it in front view. So we have front, and this is what we have it when we watch the object from the top view. Top. Sorry about that, we forgot to connect the other 2 points. Okay, but you know, now you get confused. You know, you see too many lines and you don't understand how this object is gonna look. So the easiest way to do, we're gonna lower the opacity of. We said this box represents the one that we see in here, this whole box. So this means that the object that we're viewing is in front of us. So the first thing that we see when we watch the object is this dot. This is the first that it comes to our eye, this one in here. The second that we see is this. So in order to understand it, we're going to connect it. This is what we see. And this part of the drawing is not visible to our eye. And this line in here, this line, and this one. This is not visible to us. And that's why we're gonna put a representation like this. And then we take the eraser tool and do something like this. Dotted or hashed line, and doesn't matter how you interpret it. As we said, these lines are not going to be visible to our eye, and that's why we draw them like that. Even this one in here. And this one. They're not visible to our eye, and they're gonna stay like that. Okay, so when we do this, we have a brief understanding, like what we do see and what we don't. As we said, this dot is closer to our eye, and this one, and this one on the top, and that's why this part is going to be visible. But we cannot say for the other part, point and lines that go on the bottom, because this is where we are, and when we watch the object, these lines are going to be beneath the object, and that's why they're not going to be visible. Even the ones that go on the ground are not going to be visible because they're not directly in a contact with our eyes. So if we, let's say, you know, just we can just put a simple demonstration. so you can have a better understanding. You know, we're just gonna simply render this object so you can understand how it looks like. Okay, and let's say we have like a source of light that comes from this side. Okay, we have something like this. This is how our object's gonna look like. This is the horizon line, and this is the object. So what you can do now simply is draw some kind of a, you know, since we have understanding of how this stuff looks, we can just, let's say, create something, some simple shape like in here. Okay, and in order to find the opposite side, we are going to this is probably fair. We're not gonna be so into. Okay, okay, this is from the top view. We are creating some other objects, and this one we're gonna lift them from the ground. This is the line that hits the ground, and these two objects are gonna be lifted. Okay, so in order to know where exactly to draw the line, first we have to lift these two projections from the top a little bit up. In order to do that, we see that these two dots are on the same line. So this means that this point in here, when we lift it, is going to intersect with the line that is lifted above the ground. So all we have to do now, draw another line in here and just lift those 2 points. You know, it's the same like in 3D software. Let's say you're watching an object from let's say from the left view, and now you have a vertex that it's here, and you know you don't like how the object looks, and you're just picking it with your move tool and just lift it a little bit up. That's what we did. So you know, you just you can understand how close the connection is. You can see that everything that you see in the 3D software is basically created based on this stuff. So all we have to do, let's say now, is you know, just drag a line that is in here, so we can lift this object too, and this one. And now the interesting part is, when we lift this up, now when we are drawing, we're going to draw a line from here to here. This line has to pass exactly from here to here. This means that we have created the oops. Sweet. Oops. Okay. And now all we have to do, since this point and this one is on the same line, these are two, like this one in here and this one in here. And now let's connect it. We have it connected from here to here, and now we have to do is connect it from here. Just you know, just don't worry too much, because this line is exactly with this one on top of each other. It just sometimes happens when you draw, I mean millions of times happens when you're drawing in perspective. So we have lifted a little bit up this object. So now what we have to do is give a representation of how it's going to look in the front view. And in the front view is going to look, you know, Let's give it something like, no, just again simple shape, don't exaggerate too much. And now, because we have found those two lines and we have found all the dots on these two lines, all we have to do now is create this one and connect all the others. Okay. And once again, how do we found it? Well, easy, because this is exactly, you know, straight down this line. All we have to do, like now in here, is draw this up. This is what we get. And this one in here, this is what we get. If we watch it, let's say from here, we're gonna have something like this. Something like that. And when we're watching it from this side, we have something like this. Okay. Okay. Let's lower it a little bit. So what do we get now? Well, we have this. This dot is close to us and is directly visible to our eye, so it's going to be represented. This line too, and this line too. This one is visible, and this one too. This line from here to here is not going to be visible, and we're not going to draw it. This one from here to here, it's visible, and this one from here to here, it is again. From here to here also, and from here to here also, and this one. Okay, so this is what we have. And you know, you can if we want to do, let's say, a render again, we're gonna have with a bigger brush. Okay, and now just erase some parts, the parts that are not necessary. But you know, if you remember, we mentioned that the light source is somewhere in here, so this means that this part in here is gonna be darker than this one. So I'm just gonna create some fast effect for you to have a look. Okay, and this is what we have at the end. So all you have to do, like let's say now, is just improvise with your design. Just start drawing something like this, like from here, let's say, to here, and from here, let's say, this somewhere in I don't know, somewhere in here. Okay, close enough. We don't have to be too picky. Okay, from here to here, and this one is gonna be somewhere probably in here, so from here to here. And now you have two connections, you know, that represent something. Let's say we want to create some kind of a space shuttle or something, and we're just creating these connections between these two parts. Like, let's say you have something like in here, something like a big engines, you know, like something on a like Star Wars, like on the race, and just pick darker brush and start giving it kind of a look that is something like an engine. And then, you know, just start creating some fume or something like in here too. Okay, and as we said, these are the two parts that are going to be represent the connections, like in here, here too. And then you can just you know, just slice these two parts, let's say, and even give it a tilt or something like that. So this is gonna be the cockpit. You just take a lighter brush and then just, you know, something like in here, and then in here we're gonna have you know, the pilot is gonna be sitting in here driving in his cockpit, you know. And just we can do something even more, you know, just find kind of a something like a design in here, you know, just dots, and then just give it kind of a lighter look. Let's say some kind of other color, you know, some kind of a design. And again, in here you can just, you know, just rearrange this part in here, something like that. So we can, you know, just draw something, another engine, let's say in here. This one is gonna be more of a kind of a kinky look. Okay, so let's give it a nicer look by making this part dark, because the light is gonna hit in here. So this means that we're gonna have some light in here, more of a light on this area. And you know, just now just take the eraser and start erasing. Okay, you can even, you know, just take down, lower the opacity, just oops, that's the I'm sorry about that. And you know, give it kind of a smoothness, something like this. And even, you know, just because this part is on the ground, we're gonna just affect it with kind of a light shadow. And you know, we forgot to, because this is lifted, we can, oh, we don't need this brush anymore. since this is lifted, we can add kind of a shadow in here too. Well, don't get confused, we're gonna erase that. Okay, we're just painting the areas. I'm gonna lower the opacity and then pick the eraser. As I said before, click and hold down shift, and again this will erase exactly where you need it. Click and hold down shift, and from here to here, because this is the area of the lifted part of the engine. And in here too, click and hold down shift, and you know, it makes a straight line, and click, hold down, and again click and hold down. And in here also, because this is the part of the wing, and the part of the wing is above the shadow, so this area is not going to be visible. And since this area is on this object, the motor is in front, and this one in front of us, this means that this shadow in here won't be visible. Okay. And you know, just, I don't know, start drawing some other shapes, you know, some kind of other designs. And if we turn the whole drawing, let's turn it off. I don't know if we can find the drawing perspective. This is what we get. You can see we have created some simple spacecraft, form of a spacecraft. It's not exactly a spacecraft, a form of a spacecraft, just by drawing a couple of shapes. And those shapes were, you know, just this one, something like a diamond, half diamond that lies on the ground, and some other triangles. And these two triangles, we have connected them, and we have created the basic form for a spacecraft. So how about you know, just you start as any user that watches this, just start to create your own shapes. Let's say you create something like a cube, so you're gonna have something like this. Let's say it's not an accurate drawing. And how about you just connect some parts in front of it, you know, something like in here, and then in here, and then on this part you can create a wing, and on this one too, again an engine, and let's say some kind of a frontal nose, you know, just in here is going to be the pilot, and this is, you know, just some kind of a shape, a square shape, you know, just you can later on modify something like this, you know, something on the ground. This is going to be the engine, and these are something like this, but they're longer, you know, they look like spears. Connect them, you know, some kind of a rocket booster in here, or some kind of a grabber holder that gives it bigger capability. Or you can even just something like this. Maybe it doesn't look quite convincing to you like right now, but as you start drawing a couple of shapes, you can see like simple shapes like this can be created into really awesome designs. And the reason is because everything that you create is going to be created from I don't know, 2 or 3 simple forms, shapes, name it whatever you like. That's going to be triangle, that's going to be the cube, that's going to be the circle, and that's it. From those you can create pipes, cylinders, advanced cubes, I don't know, whatever you like, in here triangle, in here cube, something like this. And as I said, the triangle, cube, and circle will give you everything that you need, because everything is created from those. So mastering simple shapes like this one, at the beginning you're gonna really look confused. You're gonna say, how this is gonna affect me, how it's gonna help me. Well, you've seen now, we have created a simple shape, something like a diamond form, a half diamond that is lying on the ground, and we created some kind of a some kind of a 3-side pyramids, if they're not even that, or if you see it, it's gonna represent a quarter, a cutted piece from a pyramid, something that looks like this, and we just cut it this part in here and place it in here and reverse it and made it look like on this side. And we have created the basics for something that looks like a spaceship. So I do encourage people to to start learning to draw in perspective. Even if you're working with a 3D software or something, this will give you a better understanding about the 3D world. And just draw, let's say, a cube, and just find this point where it's gonna be. Just don't be too picky, just let's say put it there and in there, and when these 2 points lie down on the same line, and these 2, so whenever you're gonna connect it, when you found this point, you're gonna find the other one in here, and the same goes like in here. So when you found this one, you're gonna find this one too, and just start lifting the object up, and by that, again and again, you just gonna find all the simple shapes that you need, and at the end you're gonna create something like that looks like this. And just start editing it. So I hope this was going to be useful for you. And one thing I forgot to mention is, when you draw something, and also in the 3D world, everything that's close to you is gonna look bigger. We have 2 shapes, this one and this one, they're identical, but because this shape is closer to your eye, it's gonna look bigger, and this one too. So these are a couple of things that you need to pay attention to, and I hope you liked this simple tutorial in Photoshop demonstration about how you can draw some simple cubes in Photoshop, and then later on move them to a further level and create them something like unique shapes and forms, like in this, if I can say it, spacecraft form. And I encourage you to just dig on the web. You can find a lot of also tutorials, paid and free, for how to draw in perspective, and believe me, it's gonna give you a better understanding about the 3D world, and it's gonna make you a better artist and a designer. Okay, once again, thank you for watching. My name is Ilcho at ProDesign, and see you next time.